Hello, good evening guys. My name is CryptoCape and today I want to do a quick analysis on Bitcoin and probably any other one or two coins that I may choose. So looking at Bitcoin on the weekly, it's still very bullish. Why is it bullish on the weekly? Because we have this particularly bullish candle and then we have this particular week's candle. Today is Tuesday and we still have a lot of days to go for this candle to close, which means anything can happen. We can see get it come to make a lower low to this. Likewise, we can see have it to make an higher high to this on probably maybe 4 hours daily, blah 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 like that. But as for this candle, it hasn't closed yet, so anything can see happen. But it is still bullish in the sense that we have these lows on this last week's candle. This is last week's low, and then this is last week's high. Now what can we see from this very high? We see this high is broken. We have an higher high to this high, and then we have an higher low to this low. That is still a bullish structure, right? Now if this candle closes as it is on the week, then that is a different story. But for now, it's still on and it's still rolling. It haven't closed, so there is no assertions yet as to what may happen. At the end of the day, we might have a close above this size, and at the end of the day, we might even have a close below this particular low it has made. So anything is still possible, but it is very bullish. So let's quickly do a quick projection using the Fibonacci extension. If we are to pick this low, because this is the last time where we see a decent retracement at this particular point, also retracement on lower time frames, but not on this weekly, as in their retracement here, but they are not that decent, like they didn't talk off for long. So if we pick Fibonacci from these very lows to these very highs and then to these last lows, if we are to expect a one-to-one move on this Bitcoin, that means we should expect price to get to 61,196. Let's just say 61,000 or 60,000, right? If we are to expect the 786 region, that means we expect price to get to at least 54,000. 705 region is 51,000, which means we are almost there since we crossed 50,000 today. So what should we expect with this particular projection? Is to expect anything, at least price to go to at least 1-to-1, which is at least 60k, before we see any major pullback. That is for Fibonacci. Now if we are to take from these very lows here, we have a 1-to-1 at 54.8, which is around 55,000. Now it's like we are having two confluences around that 54,000 here, which is the 786 region is 54 blah blah blah, and if we move the lows to this particular low, we have another 54.8 here. So we have two Fibonacci levels at the same price region or at the same price level, which means at this particular region of 54,000, I will be expecting price to at least get there and give us a reaction. Are you getting me? If I take from these lows to this side down to this lows, the lows we made during the last pullback, we have 1-to-1 here of this move at 54.8. Now if I draw it back down to this last major pullback, we have this 78 region at the same 54,000 to something. So it is still the same 54,000 to 55,000, which makes this 54 to 55,000 a major level. If I use this last red candle here, we still have 1-to-1 at around 53.4, which means 53,000 to 55,000 is a major level, and we should expect anything from a 1-to-1 move. It doesn't mean that we couldn't get to 78 region and won't see a pullback. We may see a pullback, but they may not be major like it will be major when it makes a 1-to-1 or above 1-to-1. So that is the projection. Let's bear that in mind. If I go on to the 3 days, I know I haven't done the 3 days analysis here before, but then let's just take a quick look at it. Then we have our risk, we have this swing, which then led to this correction, the quick one we saw, then it gave on to a pivot high. If we use this particular lows, then from this particular high, we saw like sideways movement. Here it is, from this swing high to this swing low. It's not selecting. Then we saw, oh sorry, still not selecting. You can see all these candles were all inside of this move, so it was like a sideways movement. So if I'm to use from this particular lows to this side down to this low, let's see what the projection will tell us. So from these lows to this size down to this low, then what can we deduce from this? Now we have our 1-to-1 again. If we are expecting the same exact move from here to here, we are expecting it to make it from here to here. That is 1-to-1 move, and it is around that 54.8. Are you seeing it? 54.8, which means I expect nothing. At least I'm expecting a 55k move. 50k is good. It's a psychological resistance level where people are shorting, as we can see at this present candle. It is as a result of selling pressure, but then I will expect this to make close. We might get front, so expect something from 53 to 55,000, and if that gets taken out, notice the 61,000 against at the 1.272 level here, and we saw that elsewhere on the weekly level. So bear that in mind while we proceed. So let's continue to the daily. Now here, now we have, like, this was the last demand. I said I wanted to see this low break before I will change my buyers. It didn't break, it held. We found some more demands, and I was talking the last time that I was expecting this candle to close bullishly above this supply, and if it does, I will see a demand here. I think I talked about this on the 4-hour. Now see something interesting here. There is something interesting here. Remember, this yellow line that I marked is a weekly lows for last week, whereas this is a weekly highs for this week. Now this weekly lows, where is it exactly? This boss I did last time on the 4-hour. Let me quickly take a snapshot of the 4-hour. This is it, where I said I was expecting a close. The moment we saw a close, that I was expecting a retracement back into it. That if you get from this side, if you get a retracement back into it, then I will be a buyer and long it to the upside, if you remember. So this was the 4-hour zone that I was waiting to buy. Now this weekly lows is right inside the 4-hour zone. Even more interesting, going back to the daily, this 4-hour zone now has even led to a new daily zone, which we have here. You can use the wick, you can use the body. Now this lows now is right inside the daily and the 4-hour demand zone. That is quite interesting, right? Which means if price refuses to go above this high and close above this high on the weekly, I will expect price to pull back into this area, either on the daily or on the 4-hour, which is the 39,000 region. We have to refine this on the 4-hour. But then notice something here. This is the first candle that crosses the daily side, which is today. And today I have not closed. Today's we still have like 1 hour plus to go. So we have an SFP here, but is that enough? No. Look at this. We have a pivot high here, which quite touched the highs and then came back down. Then we have this crossing the high. We have this making an higher high to all these highs, then making a higher low to all these lows. So on the lower time frame, that is still a bullish market structure, right? I will be waiting for this low to break, for buyers to change. But then seeing a move like this is also a daily high, right? That this is refusing to close above it. So people may want to short, but then you won't short this on the daily because it's just one candle. The next candle, if it close bullishly, the next candle may just come and shoot above it. Now we're having just a bit above average volume here, just a bit above average volume, which shows lot of selling pressures, because comparing the volume bar to the candlestick on the daily is not reflecting the effort of the bulls. So these are probably due to selling pressures, but then the bulls are still, how do I put it, they are still, oh, I've forgotten this term to use, they are still absorbing, all the sell pressures. If not, we could have had a red candle like this or like this here. So let's go down into the 4-hour and see exactly what we might be looking at. So here it comes. This was a demand. You can leave it as this, you can tune it down because we have these eyes, they were like sideways. So it was also a reaction to this particular bullish structure. Then it created another demand zone. Even I might even move it to below of this candle and then send it like this on the 4-hour, because this is where the real demand came into the market, and then it broke the supply. Then we had a base. The moment I saw this base leading to another big candle, which is also above volume, above average on the volume, I knew there was a demand there. Even though I didn't trade, this rally base rally due to personal something. I don't know how to put it up. I'm quite tired today. But then you can use the wick, like I do say, you can use the body. So you get failure. It led to an higher high to this. So we have a mini structure here. We have this side broken. It didn't close above it. Notice that. It didn't close above it. That is why I'm saying if people are shorting, it may just not reflect, because earlier it didn't close above it. So what will you expect naturally? It led to an higher high from this particular demand here. Let me mark it. The fact that it made an high is not that entirely a bad thing, but not closing above it shows that it's probably going to pull back, going to come down for that very moment, which it did. It didn't quite get to this zone, went back to make an even higher high to these new highs it made. It also refused to close above it, above this size, right? Then it came back into this particular demand. Here we could have also have a demand here, but then you didn't have a strong move from this region. Only one candle, and then you start seeing bases. And then look at this price action here. All this price action shows a lot of either distribution or accumulation, which ended up as bit of accumulation. Then we drop down into this zone, and then we are back up here, not just above this, even this last size created, but then which is the same as the weekly side, but then above the weekly side. Now we broke it here, closed back under, came up here again above even this last size, close back under the weekly level too. So this action, what should it tell us naturally? It should tell us that price should come back down and find support at anywhere it wants to, right? Now, where was our last demand? Our last demand was here. So what will you naturally expect? That price should come back into this demand and then maybe find the momentum, the volume it needs to go back up, if at all, because demand tested, they become weak and weak over time. If at all this upper demand breaks, then you still have another demand there, which means price can come from all the way where it is, break this demand into and deeper into this demand there, and then choose to rally up. That is the second scenario. And the third scenario is this last demand breaking this major demand, this supply zone here. We had this supply zone at the highs of 42,000, which came back. When the zone was forming, I was predicting it on TradingView. Then it worked as I expected for a while. Then now it's broken. So if all this lower demand broke, what will I expect? I will naturally expect price to come and retest. I will expect price to come and retest this lower demand and then lead back higher. either from here coming into this 39 region before going to 55k, or coming into this upper zone and then going to 55k or 61k. Those are possibilities, which is why we need risk management to be able to guard against whatever scenarios Bitcoin or any other coin like that might want to play. Now look at this. We have a pattern. I do not trade pattern like I do say, but then it's worth drawing at times. You have a pattern here. Let me make this bold or big. We have this move, this correction here, then this impulse move. Now we have a pattern. And what does pattern actually tell us exactly when it's forming like an rising channel, rising wedge, anything rising? It shows that price will likely drop down, right? So let me draw the upper one too. So we have from here like this now. Either this is forming a wedge or a rising channel. But then notice one thing. When this high was made, and then it made these particular lows, this was the lowest low it made, not this. It made this particular low, then it came to go above this side. So we have an higher high to this. That means your trend line would have changed. If you have watched my trend line video, you will understand this, what I'm doing here. So you could have drawn your trend like this to show the new price pattern. Then at this point here, the new trend line broke with a close below. Then this candle formed below the trend line. Then this interacted with the trend line. This also interacted with the trend line, and continuously like that, till it then made a new high to this particular high. Now, people will say, okay, the moment it broke, I saw a supply here, a supply zone here. I had a supply zone here. Okay, so price came into the supply, it dropped, it gave like a 1-to-1, came all the way to this level as well, gave like a 1-to-1, 1 to 1.5 risk reward ratio, which is not that quite good, and then came back to break it. It didn't quite close above it, right? But then this, after the break of this trend line, all these price action were flirting with the trend line, which shows that this trend is not yet completely broken. Then what did we get from this side? We have an higher high, which is here. That means this trend line is no more, but then this initial trend line is still being valid. It's still valid. From this very lows, this lows is still valid. We have a move below it into demand, which is quite normal. But we have from this low, now we have from this particular high to this low, and now we have an higher high, right? What should we do naturally? Either from this low, which led to an high here, because this low is lower than this, we cannot draw down. But then we can use from this low. You can either leave it here, but then you extend your low like this, which now is forming a proper ascending channel or a bear flag. Now, what do we naturally expect of bear flags? This supply, you notice price has broken it, right? But then price has not closed above it. Neither has it closed above this weekly highs, nor this particular 4-hour highs here. So what we naturally expect for price not closing above this supply zone or this side is that price will pull back. Now what will you expect? What are we expect is from this size now, or from this particular level prices, come to this trend line for a test and then go back above it. Either it will then break it, or because at times we have Bitcoin, it does the otherwise of what people expect. Now people are expecting this to break down, it can go up, but before going up, it can do what people also expect. Now look at this level of demand here. We have this level here, we have this another level here. So excuse me, so price can do this. We can have price doing this, coming like this, either like this, and then breaks it down into this demand, only to come back again and find support and then go back up. Or we can have price do something like this, come break it into this lower demand, because this upper demand has been tested. I will expect this lower demand has also been tested, which means but the reaction from this lower demand, even using the week, every week into it closed above the demand, which shows that buyers were willing to protect the highs of this red candle for it to close above it on every time it came into it, just like this. But this was a flash crash, so we might have a decent move now into it and then coming back up, and then people will find whatever breaks this as supply again. And if shorts win, maybe we have something like this into wherever the new supply might be, and then price comes back here to find momentum to 61,000, or rather we can have it coming into this either of these two zones and then coming to make the new highs. Are you getting it? So we have this pattern still in place, and we are expecting a down move from this pattern. If we are to count the number of movements on this pattern from this size, we have this low, so we start to count from here. We have one. This didn't quite touch it now because it's no longer the pattern in place. So we have 2. Now we have 3. Then we expect 4 and a 5 before we see the break to the downside. In some instances too, it can just be a 1, 2, 3, and then the break to the downside will occur. And then the break to the downside will occur, and now we expect it to occur into this demand. But as price is forming right now, this is a bearish pattern, so it is natural for us to be bearish on Bitcoin. But then we keep making higher highs and higher lows. See, and then what will I even look for here on these 4 hours? That will be if whatever breaks. Now we have a price going above this size. There is a bad demand here. It's a bad demand because it's not a good demand. We have this volume candle, this demand candle with just a little bit above average volume bar, then a red candle, which means it led to the break of this supply, right? So we have a demand there, definitely, but it is not a strong demand. So I personally even won't look to trade it. So, but then because I won't trade it personally doesn't mean that it won't hold. Like we see a rally into it, bounce up, coming back into it, trying to close above it. Now we have this action candle, whatever is doing. But then if these lows break, then I will expect this lower zone. So that is just my view on Bitcoin. And then looking at the volume, let's go back to the daily and look at the volume as price is rising up. As price is rising up, the moment is we have a descending volume here. The volume keeps pointing downwards. So this movement is a weak movement. This can be a trap to trap bears to short into demand, and the moment they short into demand, when price come back into demand, buyers will take over and then lead it into an higher high. Likewise, we can just get a sudden fundamentals or sudden events that will just push price above this zone here. We've had previously many of these ascending channels or thereabouts that do fails. Look at this. Look at this particular small little channel here. We had this rising up, and we have it here. It's also an ascending channel. And what did we get here? We had a small break, only for it to come back into it and find support again, find demand, and then we have all these price movements. So anything can happen. But the fact is, for you to be able to pick when the market is about to reverse or when the market is about to correct majorly on this particular coin, that we are in a price discovery region, it is based on either on the daily, but it is even better on the weekly. Because looking at the weekly level here, let me quickly remove all these things I've put so I can have a better view. but you have seen them, so it's okay. Sometimes clustering the chart too much is not, it's not nice. So now we have this lows and this highs. This high is broken, which shows what? It shows bullishness in the market, right? Now this has not closed, but then if it does close, you want to watch these lows to be guided by bulls. If the new candle next week opens and then invades this low without invading these new highs, if price didn't invade these new highs but invaded these lows, then that could be a signal that price is starting to turn. But then if price opens from wherever it may closes and do not invade the lows but then invade the highs, that is still giving us a bullish structure. So it is very good to watch for reversals on high time frames, because whatever you get on lower time frames might just be intraday noise. Wherever this pattern is forming, it is an ascending channel, right? But then on the daily, is it still also an ascending channel? We see it keep making higher highs. Here we had it made a low. It didn't invade this high, it invaded this low. It went back to close out inside of it. Then what do we have here? We have it coming back to even surpass all the size and even make an higher low. So we are in a region of price discovery. We do not know where price will end up. People are predicting 100,000. If that is too old, how do you want not to get caught on the wrong side? You might think this is a bearish pattern and sell, only for price to just come down a little, giving you maybe 1 or 2 hours, and then trigger yourself to go into a full bullish cycle. Now even on the 3 days, see here now we have an outside bar where price has invaded these very highs. It invaded these very highs and its lows. It invaded these very highs and its lows. I don't know why sometimes this thing does not select. Can you see that? This particular 3-day move, starting from the 15th of February, which is yesterday, it will end tomorrow. It invaded the highs and the lows. So we want to pay attention to how this candle on this 3-day closes tomorrow, and then how it opens on the 18th. Then the action from the 18th to probably the 21st will show us what will happen. If this lows it made is broken, or this high it made is broken, they need to show us direction. So but on the 4-hour time frame, you can cash intraday moves. You can cash the shorts, you can cash the longs, you can cash whichever direction you want to trade. So this chart is correct on the 4-hour, but then do not use this chart to predict that price is going back to 20k at this moment. I think price is likely to come back to 39,000 only to go higher. It happens. This whole move is a sign of weakness actually. This whole channeled move is a sign of weakness. So while I'm not disputing that, it can also be a bear trap. People are shorting definitely, but then we have countless of demands that are tested either once or twice. And if we are to draw the big zone, we have it like this, from this zone to this zone. And if this zone breaks, we have this super zone here that broke the high that caused the major correction, which is at 42,000 plus. This was the high and the supply that led us back to the very lows of 28,900. So if we have that high broken by this demand, then and then it's also reflecting on the daily, then we want to pay attention. And then this didn't just break with a weak candle, it broke with a very good solid candle, which is also above average. And then it's leading to an ascending move, which is a weak move where let's sell. It can be a distribution to test this zone. So I'm not disputing the fact that price may come into here only to continue higher. I will even be waiting here to buy. So that is my analysis on Bitcoin. I've taken a lot of time on this particular one. I don't know if I should just do it here. There is nothing different here. We keep saying making base, rally base. Now looking at this on the weekly, We still have this lows intact, right? And we still have this highs intact. So the lows is intact, the high is intact. In fact, we're having an inside bar, but then the wick has not closed, so anything can still happen. We can still have an invasion of either this low or invasion of either that high. Let's jump onto the daily. Nothing interesting. I think I had this demand on the 4 hours, something like that. I'm not that sure anymore. But then it's also an ascending move. Let's go into the 4 hour quickly and see what's going on. Okay, we had this demand there. It came close, didn't quite catch that. But then we're having a channeled move as well. We're having a channeled move. I don't even know how I can draw this particular channel. Sometimes these things are confusing. But we have this channeled move as well. Now we are retesting these lows, I think. We can either retest these lows, come back to this size, make a new high, and break it. But then you want to also pay attention to what BTC peers are doing to be able to predict the USDT peers. Will I see a good demand on this particular candle? Yes, the demand is. I will still be waiting here at this particular level. The fact that it came here, we have these lows, Now some people are even seeing head and shoulder here already. We have this left shoulder, head and another shoulder. Then a break of this support here. But it will be a break of this support into demand. And then a move back above. So anything can still happen. And for the fact that we have this ascending move here, we have these lows. We have these lows here. And this higher low, and this higher low, and this, we have a strong move. Even though it's not that entirely strong with volume. It's weakening, but then price action alone, it is strong. So anywhere from this low, you might have a demand on even a more lower time frame. As you can see here, may be a good point. It seems it's tested already. This particular point on the 1 hour seems it's tested already. Okay, didn't quite catch that. But if you have used the wick, then you would have caught that. And then would have given you, at this moment, like a 1.8 upwards the distance level, 2 point something. So that is it on ETH. Nothing much interesting. Let me see if I get something on BNB. The time is far gone. BNB, we are seeing now a very bearish move on 1 day. Let me start from the weekly. Okay, the weekly is also at the inside, but we have this as a very bullish candle. So nothing to say. Now see here. We have an inside bar C, this low and this high. But then look at this particular low. This one didn't make a new high to this. So we had like a triangle here. Here like this. Like a triangle. Then we broke down. But then we won't be able to see it clearly until we go down to the lower time frames. Now we have this lower high. This made an high to this low. Then we expect this lows again to break for various assertions. Now, what pattern are we forming here on the 4 hour? But first thing I see is this point here of base, this base point. So if I want to trade this coin, I will be waiting at these 2 bases here, which the first one is at 108. Now look at these lows. We have these lows here. We have these lows. I don't know why this is sometimes. Maybe it's my mouse. We have these lows that are supported price, but they didn't go higher. They didn't go higher. Supported it didn't. It doesn't seem to be going higher at the very moment. So people will be placing bills here as well for 1, 2, 3 as supporters and resistance. But then we have this demand there. So what may I expect here? I can expect price to just hunt everyone here into this demand and then come back to close above it, retest it, and then will move back up. But then, what is the pattern we are seeing on this particular, if I to draw this pattern? We are seeing this. Drawing from this low. At first it was this. Then it broke with full interaction to this. But then it haven't led to any higher high. So you may not want to shift it yet. But then, now it seems we are having a candle. If you can get like 2 or 3 candles with that interaction. But then some people too may choose to draw it like this. It's still making a higher low to this. This is definitely higher than this. So you can choose to draw it like this. And if you are looking at this, it's triangle. And then if we want to use a close, then the close will be like this. Definitely like this. Then this will be the lowest close. And then this will be the highest close so far. So a triangle. And what do we expect from this bullish triangle is a break up to the upside. Even though we have this opening below, but it's still interacting with this. So this can show a move above. But then like we do get, sometimes we have fake outs. We can have a break of this into this demand and then a rally back up. So this is forming like a triangle. Some people are also saying descending triangle, which means here is descending, but then here is supporting price and saying descending triangle. But then at this particular price action area, there is no demand for me to trade until here and then this particular level. Maybe if we go even down into the 1 hour, maybe we can see something else. You see there's the same exact thing. The diagram even got better. So we have this. And then we have this close here. That is the lowest close from this move down. The lowest close here. Like this. And as you can see the triangle here, this is okay. This is not from the highest close. This is okay, perfect. And then this is the lowest close from this move down here. This was a close here, but this was the lowest close. And then this was another close. And then what can we see on the 1 hour for this triangle? We see that this here is inside. It came just a bit below it, but closed above it. Now we have this bullish candle opening inside of it. So what do we naturally expect? A break above. If we turn to line chart, it will even become more clearer. As you can see on the line chart, it is perfect, right? Line charts are very good at times for drawing patterns. So we have this size coming to this like this. Naturally, seeing this pattern here, what do you expect? This is a symmetrical triangle. So we expect it to break above. And this may be forming due to whatever BNB BTC is forming. The time has gone, so I wouldn't be able to go further than this. But next time, I will be able to do analysis on USDT PS and the same BTC pair for that one. So we see how they are both interrelated or intercorrelated. Do not forget to subscribe, like and share this channel if you like this analysis and these tutorials and beginners lessons I'm giving. Very soon I will make another video on indicators, price action, supply and demand, and maybe so many other strategies I may think of. But then it's good to be here with you guys, so let's call it a day and then see you next time. Thank you for watching.